What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. on the East Coast. That means it is time for Proper Royals Live. Thank you for joining me here tonight. If we've not met before, this whole channel is about my journey from ball python hobbyist to ball python business. And we talk about all facets of the industry and the business here on this show. We do it live, and I try and bring you the best content and the best guests. And we stay on topic, man. It's actually, it's a crazy idea. It's actually a ball python show that talks about reptiles and ball pythons. How about that? Hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all. I see a couple new faces in the audience. I think Ryan Hayes, 31 South. I think you shared the thumbnail earlier. Even if you didn't, thanks for being here. But I think you're the one that did. Thanks so much for being here. Tonight on the show, we got Matt from KMB Reptiles up in Ohio. Matt's been at it. If I did my homework right, Matt's been at this coming up a little over 5 years, maybe coming up on 6 years. We'll talk about that, but I like it when I was kind of drawn to Matt for a couple different reasons. But I like when I see people that have been through ups and downs. I did an interview with Robin Markland from REDLINE not too long ago, and he summed it up really well, man. If you've been at something 3, 4, 5 years, you've ridden out some challenges. We know that ball pythons and reptiles in general is a slow-moving industry, and you got to stick with it. And I like when I find people that have. I like the new folks. I like the people like myself that are still fairly new at it. But I think we got a lot to learn. The other thing I like about Matt is all of his stuff it's primo stuff, but his facility is pristine. All the pictures you see of the tubs are pristine. So whether it's marketing or whether it's habitual, which I think they go hand in hand, I don't think you can really fake things for that long. Anyhow, very interesting. And then I had to look. I mean, he's got a ton of morphs he's working with. We'll talk about it. But he's doing great stuff with hypo. Man, if you didn't check out KMB's Morph Market page before the show, check out some of the calico hypo combos. Like, who would have thought, man? That is electric stuff. So let me give you some updates, and we will get on with Matt here very, very shortly. I hope everybody's doing well in the audience tonight. Hey, Patrick, you're back, man. Nice to see you, brother. Brandon, what's happening, man? Chris at BNS Reptilia, I talked to you earlier today. Good catching up with you. Eric, how you been, man? I hope that you're well. Who else we got in here? Locked and Loaded Frank, I hope that you're doing well. And Casey, look, even the Florida Gator can welcome the guy from Tallahassee, right? How about that? I have no idea if he's a Seminole or not. Casey's a good dude. I got one of his snakes that he purchased from me back in the rack back there. Let me give you some announcements, what we got going on. Byron, what's happening? Shannon, how you doing, man? Ken as well. All right, you guys know I suck at these shout-outs. I'm not doing anymore. Thank you for being here in the audience. If you haven't been here before, it's not really my thing. I want to get the content. You don't want to just a roll call of who's in the audience, right? I mean, you're going to talk with them. You see them. There you go. Big welcome to anybody watching this on the replay as well. Thanks for tuning in. Stick around. It has been, the way that I like it, a busy, busy week. I was down all the way down south in Punta Gorda on Sunday. I played a gig down there at the great Celtic Array Irish Pub. It's a blast to play down there. I'll be back on St. Patrick's Day and on March 18th. Before that, on the 16th, I'll be here in Jacksonville at the Stout Snug for all of the festivities. One more importantly, though, one of my females gave me the first ovulation of 2023, and that is the one that I've been after since last breeding season. Blackhead het genetic stripe to blackhead het genetic stripe. She ovulated. So I can't wait to see what comes out of that. I think I like to challenge myself to do the math odds, and then I never go check and see if they're right. I think the super blackhead genetic stripe is 6.25%. Somebody go check my math. Let me know if I'm right or not. So it's a super long shot on only one animal, but we should see some genetic stripes, blackhead genetic stripes, super blackhead, 66% het genetic stripe, And then, like I say, hopefully we hit that just beautiful, super blackhead genetic stripe. I've never seen one. I don't know that they exist. I've never seen one though. So I'm looking forward to that. But like I say, check out my, all right, Casey, take it easy on FSU. You're in my house, man. I'm joking. Only a little bit. Yeah, so we'll see how the odds goes. Third Eye Pythons, welcome. I haven't seen you here before, Jeremy. Welcome. Glad to have you tonight. And hey, Gray Rider Reptiles, man. Charlie, you're the one doing the work on the genetic testing, man. I'd love to talk with you sometime about that. I can't make the show about it tonight, but thanks for checking out the show. Welcome. Glad to see the work that you're doing. I hope it goes well. I think consumer choices and competition in the market is good. So my best to you. I hope it goes well. Interesting people in the audience. I like seeing this. The reach is getting a little bit further. This is cool. I don't know if you can see it. I added a little plasma ball above my head. Oh, wait, bring it in focus. There it is. All right there. This makes me happy. It reminds me of Spencer Gifts in like 1996. You know what I'm talking about. Tampa Repticon was this past weekend. I didn't get to go to it. If you've not been, I mean, I'm not saying it's Daytona or Tinley or anything like that, but it's a great show. It's a big show. It's very, very well attended, and they do 2-3 of them a year. So it's really, really a good show to go to. I did not get to go because I had that gig and logistics and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to hear about that. The show updates that I heard from the vendors were very, very good. I talked to some vendors that are kind of just a little bit ahead of me or sort of at my scale. And then I talked to some vendors that were everything I could ever hope and dream to be in the industry. Top to bottom, everybody said it was a really solid show. The vendors that were sort of closest in progress to me actually gave the most raving reviews. They sold 9 snakes, they said, and I'll just say if I sold 9 snakes, my average price of snakes right now is hovering right around $470 of my sales this year. So that'd be over $4,000 for a weekend. I'd hit the road doing snake shows and quit everything else if I could make $4,000 a weekend. I'll tell you that much. So speaking of which, I will be vending this weekend coming up in Lakeland at the Florida International Reptile Expo, better known as FIRE in Lakeland. That is a Repticon show that I guess that they bought the FIRE name. I guess that predated Repticon. But that's a Repticon show, Lakeland, Florida. Following weekend, I will be in Jacksonville, Florida, my hometown. I'm even in my backyard with Repticon. We'll see how that goes. Hey, I got an announcement. You guys have a lot of pull. You've done a lot of good things. And I can't say this for a fact. I'm thinking out loud, but I could be wrong. This part is fact. With Cold Blooded Cafe, I've been hinting and suggesting that a unique promo code would allow them to track and see either A, what value myself and you all as the community bring, or what a waste of time I am. I mean, it's like I say, let's be fair and let's be accountable here. And so anyhow, I think I told you all with REDLINE, thank you all. The proper 5 promo code is their most used promo code on on REDLINE shipping, or it was when I interviewed Robin, 2-3 weeks ago. So anyway, we got a little announcement. You'll see it on the logo down below as soon as I bring on Matt. But Cold Blooded Cafe has created the Proper 10 logo. You're going to get 10% off of your order. And it's billed as a first-time buyer, but I believe it is a one-time use promo code. I think that anybody can. Report back to me. I got to leave the disclaimer of I think. But somebody give it a shot and on your next order and let me know. I'd love to know about it because I think existing customers are incredibly valuable. You don't want to lose them because you're just pandering to new customers, right? It's not my business, but I'm very thrilled that if you use frozen thawed rodents and you haven't given Cold Blooded Cafe a shot, first, I think you should. Second, they got a little incentive for you now. Proper 10 at the checkout. How cool was that, huh? A less happy note. I got to read this. This is a current post just up from, man, I had it pulled up and everything. Oh, here it is. from USARK Florida. This is what's going on in Florida. This is the testing ground and the crazy behavior. And I don't want to get, I'm not going to get party political here, but I will get political. This whole trend of strong men that and women, for that matter, that don't want to follow due process, that don't want to follow our laws, that don't want to represent the citizens that they're elected by, and that they just want to run everything through a public campaign of, you know, smoke and mirrors and nonsense. Let me tell you what I'm talking about here. This is from the USARK Florida Instagram post. This was posted at 2:39 this afternoon. USARK. FWC, that's Florida Wildlife Commission Chairman Rodney Barretto's call for immediate action to restrict non-native species was stunning to pet keepers, small businesses, and farmers who have been working with the FWC staff on a technical assistance group. So they convened this committee of non-FWC and non-USARK members to work as consultants, essentially, for the FWC. And this guy comes out of nowhere. They had been working with FWC staff on a technical assistance group to address non-native species species issues within Florida. At the last meeting on February 9th, FWC biologist Sarah Funk told the members, this is FWC biologists, not USARK, the Florida Wildlife Commission, of the group, that they could expect to see a new regulatory framework take shape by the end of the year, and calling for staff to rush to take action by the next commission meeting in May. That's 2 months. FWC Chairman Rodney Barretto has once again chosen to bypass due process and stakeholder input in favor of creating rash, poorly informed policies. Here is his quote. Here's this guy's quote. This is not an elected official. This is an appointed official who is now threatening to make laws without going through the legislative process nor being elected to make said laws. Just remember that. I don't care what party you're in. This is quote. I have no qualms about saying that we are shutting down Florida to invasive species. Now, prediction. Here's the truth of the matter. This is the same nonsense that's being pulled on Disney. Disney's never going to lose that land. Disney's pulled an infrastructure that is not replaceable, and it would take 10, 15 years to replace, and it would raise taxes and put such an undue burden on its citizens of Orlando that they're never going to allow it to pass. They made an agreement with Disney, and Disney made the most of it. Why am I talking about Disney? Because this is the same nonsense. This will never, ever work. Do you notice he said we're shutting down Florida to invasive species? Because invasive species have been codified as the invasive species, the definition of invasive species was standardized by Executive Order 13112, signed by U.S. President Bill Clinton on February 3rd, 1999. Invasive species means, and that's not, does that timing work? Yes, it does. Invasive species means an alien species whose introduction does or is likely to cause economic and or environmental harm or harm to human health. By that definition, very few of the non-native species that have become established in Florida actually qualify as invasive species. Furthermore, before implementing the prohibited species rules in 2021, FWC failed to perform a scientific risk analysis to determine if green iguanas or tegu lizards even met the definition of invasive. What they did instead was start a public smear campaign, get everybody riled up so that somebody who does make the laws in the future could legislate it based on nothing but this guy's loud mouth. Support USARK. This thing isn't going to go anywhere immediately. There's going to be no immediate shutdown. What'll happen is they'll make this ruling, if they do, or he'll back down because it's not legit. USARK will sue, and it'll go through appeals and sue, and whoever loses will appeal. And this stuff goes slow. But what happens is that it changes the public perception, and it gets a headline that these things should be shut down. And that's what affects us. support USARK, support USARK across the country, support them here in Florida. Thank you for hearing me out. Have you seen this Chat GPT thing? Check out my link on my reel today on Instagram. I could do a whole show on it. I'm not going to. I got Matt sitting patiently in the green room while I rant out here. Check out Chat GPT. How are you going to use that in your business going forward? How are you going to use that in your marketing? There's important questions to ask, I think. Coming up next week, we've got Abe's Exotics. That's, I believe it's Jason is his first name. It's Jason Abraham from Abe's Exotics. Following that, Jeremy Bod himself makes a return to the show, Bod's Exotic Reptiles. And then Spencer from A Tree Frog Collective is after that. My Patreon went live this week. Go check it out. I'm not going to turn this into a Patreon commercial. It's the premium tier. If you're curious, excuse me, I just had dinner and I rushed into the show. It's the premium tier. It's $100 a month. It's not cheap. I know that. But it's limited to 5 people, and it takes up a whole lot of my time where I work one-on-one with you, and we work in a group among the 5 and myself. So if you like my business style, if you think that I could be helpful to you, if you're just curious what I think I have the stones to ask for $100 a month for, go check out Patreon. It's in the LinkTree link down below. For the record, I will have an entry-level tier and a mid-level tier coming out on Patreon very, very shortly. I'm not going to tell you what those are yet, but they are coming up. So go check out Patreon. KMB Reptiles, that's Matt out of Ohio. I think Dayton, but he's going to correct me if not. I think he's out of Ohio. Like I said, been at this 5 or 6 years and has a great following on Instagram. We're going to talk a little bit about social media as well. So thank you all for hearing me out. Thanks for the bearing with the announcements. If you would, for the first time ever, please welcome to the Proper Royals stage, Matt from KMB Reptiles. Matt, what's going on, man?
Hey, Adam, how are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for being here tonight. How are you doing tonight?
Absolutely. Doing really well. Excited to be here. Finally talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for hanging out. My intro ran a little bit longer, but I was all fired up over the USARK issue, man.
Yeah, absolutely important to touch on.
Yeah. So give us the introduction. I have a big thing of like making sure I don't turn the show into like, what got you into reptiles? When did you have your first snake kind of deal? But tell us about KMB and give us the short version. What do you have going on out there?
All right. Elevator pitch. KMB is my wife's name's Kaylee. I'm Matt. Started out in probably when I was in 5th grade having snakes. Had snakes up until I was in high school, and then I went to college and had to get rid of everything. So I wanted to get back into reptiles, and my wife wasn't really about it. So we got a bearded dragon. It's kind of like an intro reptile, and had that for a little while. And once she was okay with that, she was like, "Okay, fine. I know you want snakes. You can get a snake, and that very quickly turned into this."
Right. When? How long ago was that? Sorry, I want to make sure I can hear you too. How long ago was that for you?
When I first got the first snake was probably mid 2018.
Okay.
And then that was a Western hognose, and then in that fall I got a female adult breeder ball python, and then had my first clutch. I paired them up that winter, and then had my first clutch in 2019.
Oh, cool. So you went with hognoses before ball pythons. That's a little different. You don't hear that every day.
Yeah, I had back when I was younger, I had ball pythons. I did Kenyan sand boas. That was the first thing that I bred was Kenyan sand boas, and I had always thought hognose were really cool looking. And then when I was finally like, okay, I'm getting back in. I know I want to have ball pythons. I will get ball pythons, but I'm watching this, and it was Exotic Fire Hogs. Eslin has been incredible to me, so shout out to him. I was watching his page like no other, and I gotta have an animal from this, so I went with that first.
And so you were breeding when I wasn't gonna say like just a kid. You were a kid. This was when you were in high. You were breeding snakes when you were in high school.
Yeah. Yep. I had one litter. I had 3 babies, and I probably had there was four stillborn in that. It was like a first time female,
Yeah.
so they were normal Kenyan sand boas, but it was the coolest thing in the world to produce snakes. To open up one day because they have live birth. Open up one day and I've got tiny little snakes crawling around. It was amazing.
That is cool, man. You're right. It really is like the best feeling. Even now, just cutting open eggs, that anticipation, but also like I get it. I understand biology. I understand science. I understand how it all works. To go, there's going to be a pied ball python inside that egg. And I know there is because I bred two visuals together, and it to actually be there is just the craziest thing ever, man. It's unreal.
Once you see it, it changes it.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Most definitely. So, all right. So hognoses and ball pythons. So those still your two primary species, or do you have others too?
No, that's all I've got right now. And the hognose, I've only got a small group. I only have 5.
Okay.
But this will be hopefully my first year producing them. I had terrible luck the last 3 years of producing them. I have a female that I think is just not viable.
I gotcha.
2 years in a row. Her first year that I bred her had 49 slugs out of a double clutch.
Wow.
49 in a year, all slugs.
Yeah.
So, 2 fresh females this year.
So, and I don't know anything about hognoses other than what they are. I mean, I know what they are and what they look like and all of that. Do they give, well, obviously if they give slugs, they give us egg birth. How many eggs will a healthy female lay in a year?
So if they only have one clutch, I mean, it's variable. I mean, maybe 10 to 15. I've seen clutches that are 20 to 30.
Really?
I mean, it depends on the female. A lot of times if a female's has enough weight to her, most of the time if she's more mature, she'll double clutch like a lot of other colubrids will. So she'll have 2 clutch, she'll lay a clutch, and then she'll have another one shortly after. Last year, I had a female who was her first time breeding. I never saw a lock, so I wasn't sure that she was going to be good to go, but she had 15 and 14 slugs, and one was like just barely had a vein in it, and it went bad. So,
and so if you get that many hatchlings, do they need individual tubs, or can you cohabitate them as babies, or what works? You got to separate them all.
Yeah, you got to separate them all. So, have you seen like the colubrid hatching racks that use like the pencil tubs?
No, but I can imagine. Okay, so they're like
Reptile basic rack that has it's just small, thin.
Yeah.
So start them out in those because they're tiny. I mean, they're
right. Yeah, they gotta be. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm thinking of the logistics and time and the effort versus the revenue, which of course is the whole business model of everything. But no, that makes sense. I mean, it probably takes how's feeding on them? Do you start them right off on live on a fuzzy, or what do they feed on as babies?
Babies like newborn pinky mice. I mean, I don't have the experience yet, but from everything I've read, the newborn pinky mice, sometimes they'll be tough to start just because they're like toad eaters in the wild. So sometimes you'll have to scent them.
I see. Yeah.
But a lot of the time, from what I've seen, if you just have like a little bit of water on the mouse whenever you present it to them, a lot of times they'll find food just by rubbing their nose up on something. And then they'll be like, okay, this is food, and they grab it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, let me eat this. Yeah.
Whenever you have a rodent that has a little bit of water on it and you like kind of rub it on the nose, it might stimulate them to be like, okay, I'm going to drink a little bit of water. They open their mouth, you put the rodent in there, and they just take it.
I gotcha.
Successful trick. But a lot of people will scent with like tuna juice or salmon juice, Vienna sausage juice.
I read about that stuff. I'm like, oh, man. And I can't judge it because I'm not – I never tried it. I don't need to, or chicken broth or whatever. But I do put it in the back of my mind, like, I guess if I ever need to try it, I could, sort of thing. So, all right. So, well, good luck on the hognoses. I hope that this season fares better for you. Tell us about where you're at. Give us some stats on your ball pythons. Give us what are you working with, and kind of your like I say, give us that pitch.
Sure. I'm pretty spread out right now just because I'm trying to build a lot of different projects. I probably only got 50 ball pythons.
Okay.
A lot of them are like in the thumbnail, hypo, love hypo, love desert ghost, and pied. I have a decent amount of clown as well. And then we actually just started pairing for het puzzles. So I have a puzzle pastel puzzle het hypo that we're putting to some hypo combo females to go for some hypo het puzzles to try to get those growing up. But the first season that I really had anything, so 2019 I had one clutch. It was like all sterlings and pastels and cinnamons.
Right.
The second year was kind of similar. I had lessers and cinnamons and pastels. And then 2021, I had a lot of DG pos het pieds. I had a clutch of pied 100% het DGs. So my first kind of breakout year was all DG pied stuff. So I probably got a group of like 2.10 DG pied stuff. And then that should probably go next year because most of them are around 800-900.
Any visuals in there or just DG Pied project?
Just one hit the other. So I've got I got like a 2 pied het DG females and a Enchi pied het DG female from that first season.
Oh, so you're well situated though. I mean, you got to hit something on those then.
I'm hoping.
You don't have to, but you should.
Right. Well, I would like to.
Right.
I've got one of the females grew like crazy. She's 1,800 grams and she's a 2021 and she's building follicles already. So put a lock on her, but that's just going to be pastel DG het pied to a DG het pied. At worst, all DGs that are plus het pied, I'll take it. But the odds are, I mean, she's that big and, probably.
There you go, man. Oh, good luck. I hope so. That's cool. So that's the any other double recessive ventures at the moment?
No chance to hit double recessive. Actually, yes. This year I have a hypo clown male that's going to a pastel Enchi double het hypo clown, and then a leopard firefly double het hypo clown.
That's a cool snake. I saw that snake. It's the one with the spot, the one with the 2 spots for the head stamp on it. Is that the one?
It may be.
I'm not sure. Anyhow, I saw it was a leopard. Yeah, it was a leopard firefly. Anyway, it's a great snake on your Instagram. That hatched this year or not?
Last 2022. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that was a pastel Enchi leopard fire.
I'm sorry. It did have fire in it, brightening up the yellow. It did have fire. Yeah.
That's the only double recessive visuals that we could see this year. Besides that, it's just going to be. So I got like the pastel puzzle het hypo going to hypo females. So I'm hoping to have some blackhead hypo het puzzles, cypress hypo het puzzles, fire hypo het puzzles. Yeah. Then the next year, all those hypo females. We've got a fire tri-stripe, possible het hypo. So he'll probably take the puzzle place the next year and try to work some tri-stripe stuff because I'm loving tri-stripe.
Okay, cool. I'm not on tri-stripe. I've got a lot of genetic stripe stuff going on, and like I said in the intro, that one female just ovulated. So we'll see. It's super long odds, but whatever I get will be closer to the long-term project or the long-term vision moving towards it. So where I always say there's kind of a spectrum between hobby and business. Where do you sort of identify on that spectrum of hobby or business? And then what's the trajectory? Where do you want to go?
Yeah. While I answer, can you check and see if you're able to turn the waiting room music off? I don't know if you're able to or I have to, but I'm still hearing the waiting room music from the StreamYard. But right now, I don't know.
Oh, you might have another. Do you have another window? You have another window open somewhere?
No.
I don't have that on my end. That's odd. I've never heard that before.
No big deal. I'll roll.
And I only see one of you. Interesting. So you have like elevator music in the background going?
Yeah. It's all right. It's nice and calming.
Well, yeah, and distracting. I'm sorry. It's hard enough to do a live show without that. If it gets to bothering you, you're welcome to log out and log back in. On that wouldn't be by far not the worst thing we've dealt with. So let me know. I apologize for that. I don't have.
No worries.
I don't. I've never. Let me. No.
No,
I was making sure nothing else on my end is playing, but it's not.
Right now it's strictly hobby. If I'm able, really the kind of goal is to build a collection to where if it were to be a full-time business that I'd be able to do that at that point. But I mean, I'm young. I'm 26. I've got a good career, and I love this as a hobby. So I'm kind of half in on that right now.
Well, first, there's no wrong answer. Secondly, if you love what you're doing and you love it as a hobby, why screw around with it? I mean, that's there's nothing wrong with any of that. What do you want to talk about what your career is at all, or you rather not?
Yeah, I'm a project manager for a custom home builder. So I manage to build those houses.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so I mean, if you're happy with what you're doing and it's funding your lifestyle and bringing stability and security and yeah, funding snakes, yeah, you'll never hear a word from me about if you just this or a hobbyist crap. Not me, man.
Right.
At the end of the day, man, for me anyhow, it's about your household, it's about your livelihood, for me, it's about my net worth and growing that. And if ball pythons are a part of that, great. If I have to maintain a bit of my career, I will. I'll be happy to walk away from it if I don't have to. But no, I don't think that there's any reason to feel like you need to explain that. Talk to us about it feels like you have a bunch of calico as well, man. I didn't realize that I was on a podcast not too long ago, and there were some real strong opinions about calico. I was like, wow, I didn't know that this incited so many opinions in people. Your hypo calicos, I've never seen a hypo calico combo before. They're fantastic, man.
They're nice, man. They look really cool, especially with OD makes it. Orange Dream makes them. I actually got the mail from Ryan Hayes in the chat. He's a Orange
cool
Dream calico hypo, and he's one of the nicest that I've ever seen. But the babies that he gave us this year, like my favorite baby from this year is a Orange Dream Calico Fire hypo. She's my favorite snake in the collection probably right now to look at least.
I saw that thing. It's incredible. And when I say that thing, I mean like that, it's this amazing thing. Yeah, it's fantastic. Hold that just 1 second. Shannon, I just saw your question about wireless ultrasound. Message Brandon Nixon Reptiles. I think Brandon's in the audience as well. You guys could catch up offline, but Brandon will point you perfectly in there. He's the best. He's a professional. That's what he does for a living, is ultrasound. So he's got the sweet hookup on the wireless stuff. Matt, where do you take that OD Fire calico? That was a male or a female?
She's a female.
Female. So what's the future plans on that? What do you want to get going into that?
Future plans for her right now is to look pretty at Tinley.
Right.
But if I did hold on to her, the main direction would probably be into tri-stripe. Just because
really?
The color palette that she has with a tri-stripe and a high white sides on the calico with an orange and like almost bluish type hue going down the back, it's got to be a beautiful animal. Yeah.
And I forget, I apologize. Did you say that has hypo in it or it doesn't have hypo?
Yeah. So she's a Orange Dream Calico Fire hypo.
Hypo. Yeah. And that's why it's so electric. Yeah. And you're right. It does. When you said the bluish hues, I was like, wait a minute, that's got the hypo in it then. So are you vending at Tinley?
Yep. We'll be set up with Ken from Primal Sales in the chat.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And then also next week's guest, Jason.
What?
Yep.
That's funny. Yeah, I definitely didn't plan that. Ken and I have become I think we've become pretty good buddies. Maybe he's like, Adam's crazy. But no, we had dinner at Daytona. We become good buddies. That's killer. So now Ken is in Indiana though, right?
Yep.
How did you guys get connected together as far as vending shows and whatnot?
So we're all in the Patreon for Wilma Rose. So met through there.
Cool. Very cool.
Table through there.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna. So yeah, talk us through getting a table at Tinley. Is this your first time vending at Tinley?
Yeah, I've attended Tinley only twice and only went for a couple hours on a Saturday. Done a couple of shows around here. Like we have the Cincinnati Reptile Show. It's a Sin City Reptile Show. Vended that one for a while. We go over to the Midwest Show in Indianapolis that ARS puts on. Yeah. So we'll do that show as well. And then when the table in the our Discord group for the RCR group chat came available, Ken grabbed it, like, hey, got some animals too. You want to share it? Hey, Jason did the same thing. We're dream team.
Very cool. Very cool. And how many tables did you get? Just one? You guys packing into one table?
Yep. We lined out all the animals that we planned on bringing. And I honestly think there was only one that didn't have a space.
Cool. So I love, like, to me, there's a couple of different ways to go about business. And some people like to plan like everything to infinity. And then there's people like me who are like, all right, I'm going to figure it out. I'll get started and then I'll figure it out more as I go. And you got to be careful when we're talking about live animals. I'm absolutely not encouraging anybody to just figure out a live animal. But the business end of it, where you go, okay, if it takes 3 of us behind one 8-foot table to get our foot in the door at Tinley, because once you're in, then you're in the machine. Then, I mean, it's crazy. I get people in my DMs going, hey, do you know how I can get a table at Tinley? And I'm like, no, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and I have a YouTube show. And they're like, I know, you know a lot of people. I'm like, not real. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't know how to get a table at Tinley. I don't know. So that's great, man. I think I think so many people get caught up in how's it going to be perfect? Oh, if I don't have X number of tables and this kind of display and this and that. Get in, get started, man. Make the connections. You're going to make it up on stuff that doesn't fit on a spreadsheet 10 times over just by saying that you're vending at Tinley, man. Fantastic.
Start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Well, and Tinley's a hell of a place to start too. So, I mean, obviously you've started well before then, but no, that's great. I'm excited. And like I say, that's perfect. I'm doing a little show prep. No, I'm not. I can't make this one. My my calendar's over here. My March is absolutely bonkers, and I'm a lucky dude to say that. I don't know how much you follow the show, but I'm a restaurant consultant, professional musician, and I vend a lot of reptile shows on my calendar now. And March is packed, and I'm happy. I couldn't have. I left a career of 27 years to pursue this stuff, so I couldn't be happier than saying I'm busy right now. Why not, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Marshall says it doesn't mean it's your table next time. I get that, right. But you're also going to be making handshakes behind the scenes. You're going to be meeting the show promoters. You're going to be meeting other vendors that might have an extra table next time. I get it. You're more on the inside than this guy in Jacksonville, Florida, in a garage is. Put it that way. All right. I think good things happen when you just show up and get in the game, man. I'm pumped for it, man. I think that's cool. Yeah, that's great. Like you say, Jason will be on next week. And then Jeremy at Bob's Exotic Reptiles, he's going up to Tinley. He's got 2 tables up there. He'll be on the week after. So usually I like to find out after the shows how things go. I guess we'll do a pre-Tinley run of people. So how many snakes are you taking to Tinley then? Ish.
Of mine-ish, probably 6. And then over by Ryan Hayes, Baker Sturgeon just recently started his Instagram. I believe it's just B Sturgeon Reptiles. I'll have some of his as well. So he's got a dreamsicle female, an OD clown pied male. So some of the really bangers that he made this year, we'll put those out as well because power pack table.
Yeah. So, so I'm guessing when you said 50 earlier, that's your holdbacks and your breeders. What do you have in inventory? Oh, that's everything. So how much of your inventory is for sale, or is it just those 6?
Oh, they're just those 6 right now. Yeah, that's the 6 that are left over from the last year, and then I decided to let go one of the holdback pied het DG females.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just going to be whatever we produce this year.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was going to ask what went into the decisions of what you bring to the show or bring to a show like Tinley versus a neighborhood show. But if you're bringing them all, then you bring them all. Then that's an easy answer then.
Yeah, if I had a lot more of the you call it the show fodder, snakes that are 250 and under, that's going to be what I take to local shows. Right. I know those are well there, but I'm not going to put out a pastel enchi at Tinley.
Right. What's the and I'm not so much asking as far as like what you specifically pay, but what's a table at Tinley go for?
Ken would have a better answer. I think it's 4 something. I
Really?
I don't want to misspeak, but yeah, he'd have an answer on that.
Really? Yeah. Somebody in the audience
when I get
will.
there.
Yeah, I gotcha. So like, yeah, like a Daytona table, I think is $300. But $480 a table. Wow. Yeah, you can't screw around with the $200, $300, $400, $500 snakes. And I mean, I know that Tinley's the big boy group, but like those buyers are there in your experience as far as attending and that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen giant stacks of cash right at Saturday opening. It's people don't come to play around. I mean, they come to play, but they also come to buy.
I've seen it at I've seen it at several shows, but yeah, I definitely saw it at Daytona, man. Sure. What's the expression from that movie, Rounders, stack of high society, 10 grand. And you're like, no, that's what that looks like. Okay, there it is right there, man. Yeah, those things happen. So yeah, Ken finds the value in it, just the exposure alone. That's cool, guys. I think that's great. And what's that? The weekend of the 17th. Am I right about that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, my biggest music day of the year is St. Patrick's Day, the 17th. So I literally can never go when it's on the same weekend. But in October I can go, and then certainly, I should get to Arlington, man. It's not close, but it's not that crazy of a drive, especially if somebody went, if I picked up somebody on the way or they jumped in with me or whatever, it'd definitely be worth doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just deadhead it there, and then grab a nap or whatever and call it a day. So they pulled a heist on you that you have to pay for the electric too. God, I hate that. It drives me bonkers. And I know it's not the show promoters that dictate that. It's the house that dictates that. But that drives me nuts. All right. Enough of my rant about electricity at shows. You all come for better content than that. When we got in touch, back 2-3 months ago I reached out to you about doing this show. I don't know, maybe 2.5, something like that. Yeah. Something like that. And you were talking about expanding your facility. What do you have going on there? I know that it's not done yet, or maybe, I don't know if you hit hiccups or it's just on schedule that it's still not done or whatever, but what do you have going on there?
So right now I'm in a spare bedroom, and we obviously want to get the spare bedroom back. We just moved a year and a half ago, and so I've got everything in a small spare bedroom now. We had our basement, it's all finished, but when you walk down over to the left, it has kind of like a walkway type feel to it. It's just like because it goes underneath the living room, and it's kind of just dead space. Like it would just be storage. So
I know, like a hallway. Yeah,
so it'll be, instead of having everything on both walls and having just like an aisleway in the middle, everything will just be mostly on one wall and then wrap around one corner. So it'll probably not double the space that I have in here, but close. So I'll at least have room to, have my desk in there and not just have the racks and only room for the racks. It'll be like a usable facility. At least it'll feel more like it.
Very cool. Yeah, I always liked, and I moved, it's almost been 2 years now, but I moved from North Carolina, and I had a completely finished basement, and there was it's basically just a little bedroom in the basement, but it was completely underground, no outside walls in that room. And it was great, man. It kept the temperature fairly well moderated, and obviously I keep a pretty clean facility, so there's not many smells, but there's times, I mean, you can't be there every moment that every snake relieves itself, so it helped to have the smells separated and that stuff. I really enjoyed having that basement set up.
I'm mostly excited for it just because, I mean, in Ohio, winters are dry, and if I'm down in the basement, I shouldn't have as tough as a time with the humidity as I do in the upstairs that I'm in now. Yeah.
Now, how are you going to heat down there? Because forced air was generally pretty dry. Are you just going to use ambient and use the heat panels, or are you going to have like space heaters and stuff as well?
I've got the oil-filled space heater. Yeah. So I use that. I'll just have to play around and see what the temps are once I get down there. They're gonna be lower than they are in here right now, but so like in the winter, the room that's right next to this, it's the same room, just on the other side. It probably stays around 69, 68 in the winter whenever we have our normal heat going. And then this room in here, I don't have to run any heater in here during the winter at all, and it stays like right now it's 77 in here.
That's from all the heat pan, just the racks radiating, really.
But yeah, I mean, it's a small room, and it'll be a smaller room down there. I'll have an external wall, so that except for just I've got one external wall here, and I'll just have one long external wall down there, so that'll play into it. So I'm imagining in the winter I'll definitely keep a oil-filled radiator going, but that's what I did in our last house too, and it works great.
Yeah, yeah. And then how are your summers there? Do you get hot summers or not really?
Yeah, we have hot periods of the summer, but typically it's 75 to 85.
Okay.
I mean, we'll have some 90-degree weeks where we'll go in and out of it, but we don't have as much extreme heat.
Right. Yeah, I can't believe it, man. It hit 90 already here in North Florida this week, man. Like that's very abnormal, but I mean it's supposed to go on another 4 or 5 days too. Like it's February. I'm like, man, Pete's sake. Yeah. And
we're gonna hit 61 tomorrow, and I'm gonna be wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I grew up in Maine, and I remember like we would get a thaw in January some years, and it would get to like 48 or something, and it would be we'd be out there in shorts, and like our shirts would be like, I'm wearing shorts to school today, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's 48, but okay, you know, if you're used to teens and you get a thaw, why not? Right?
Yeah. Feels like summer.
Yeah. So where, how big, you said that you thought you were going to double your size. Do you have plans to go ahead and fill that space, or is that something you're going to grow into with holdbacks, or a little of both? What's your plan on that?
A little of both. I'm definitely going to keep back a decent amount this year. I obviously haven't reached that point yet, but the benchmark that I kind of keep in my mind is to have eventually like 100 females.
Okay.
I mean, that would be probably my max. At least
that
I believe would be my max, and then probably 12 males or so, and then just constantly be upgrading. And then it'll just depend on what I can fill that space with, and then how life plays out. But as of right now, this is super manageable. And last year I had 10 clutches, and I'm confident I'd be totally fine with 20 at this point and being able to balance it. Just with the way our life is now, we don't have any kids. I mean, I've got time to be in the snake room, so I'll just play as it goes and grow into it. Yeah,
I had 20 females that I paired this year, but a couple of them were like very first time, so I don't know that they'll go. And then, I had 2 that are perfectly fine to go, but they're like the early purchases when I was truly in the full hobby stage. It's a normal and an Enchi. What am I gonna pair to them? They're there. If my acid het clown male had grown, I mean, I paired them with him. He just wouldn't lock with them. So he's too young, I think, but he's plenty big. He's just young. He's just like he's massive, but he's only like 7-8 months old, and he's just not ready, man. He's not locking. Like I paired them with him, but I didn't have anything else. And I was like, I don't need a clutch of Enchi het hides. It's just not what I need right now, So
there's nothing wrong with not breeding them this year, and then next year have something for them.
Exactly, and that's kind of the mindset, because there'll always be some new gene, and they'll always, like you said, to constantly be upgrading. Like everything's relative. Right now, I don't see myself spending $2,500 upwards of that on animals, but depending on what my revenue is in a year, I may very well be. And that might be if that's a dominant or a dominant combo that would make sense to run to them, then of course I would. Or, a double visual or something that I could get some, if I got, if I get a male dreamsicle, I probably wouldn't mind having it working Enchi into that and getting double head Enchis, So they're definitely worth having. I just don't have anything for them this year. So the reality is that I'm hoping for, I'm sure a couple won't go. So the reality is probably 12 to 15 clutches for me this year, which would be that'd be pushing it for me. I had 7 last year. And so I want to grow. I think it's important to learn what you're doing as you grow and know what you're capable of as you grow. And my setup right now, though, I'm ready. I mean, the capital investments that I made that I can handle would be 55 females right now, which honestly, if I've got 55 breeding females that are mature, at that point, I'm going to be full time. I mean, that's what I would be doing. At that point, that level of investment, that level of time and marketing to move those animals and the quality. Because if I'm at 20 breeding right now and I multiply that 2.5 times of advancements, there's going to be some pretty high quality girls that I'm dealing with, you know. So at that point, I would want that to be. I'll always play music, but I would step back from the restaurant consulting at that point.
Right. Do the things you like most. Keep music.
Yeah. Well, and I need a release. I know myself well enough. Like I need something that's. I've always had 2. Like I've always had restaurants and music. I've had rental units for a long time too. So I've always kept other businesses. I always need something to turn to when I just need a distraction sometimes from different things, right. You know. So I know that about myself, but I'm happy keeping the 3. It's doing well, and I can dictate when I want to work and when I want to take vacation. And, you know, as a consultant, I can tell people, here's the deadline on this project. If we can get it done in that time, great. But like today, I told a guy, I was like, June 15th, man, that's my drop dead date. I'm flying into Boston and taking my family to New England this summer. I'll call you when I get back, but that's going to be that, you know. So, so I'm happy with that. But that's cool. So 100 females. What kind of timeline do you envision that being on? 3, 5 years, 2 years?
Yeah, probably 5 to get to 100. I mean, that's just what I have in my head as my max, and at that point, that would be a full time job. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
But I think with keeping it with a career and keeping this just as a hobby, I think around that 20 to 25, I think I'd still be able to, you know, as long as I have like a show schedule that I'm doing and I'm keeping up with the marketing stuff, which I'm just now really starting to do. So, I mean, if I keep up with everything, I think I'd be happy in that 20 to 25 range while still keeping it a hobby. And if it expanded from there, I, you know, have those females to be able to do that then. Yeah,
well, and, you know, 25 will get you, 150 hatchlings each year. And, you know, of course, you'll hold back some or maybe a lot, but you're probably not going to hold back, 25% of them or so, probably.
Right.
So, yeah, it becomes a lot. You talked about just starting on marketing and branding, but you got a ton of followers on Instagram. How'd that work? Or was it just luck, or what? Did you just hit the jackpot? What happened, man?
Kind of hit the jackpot. It was a hog nose.
Okay, cool. Talk about that. Yeah.
So we have a Xanthic superconda, and well, I mean she's pulsate albino, but she's an Xanthic superconda, and she's gorgeous. She looks like chain metal, and we got her from Jason Taylor at Beyond Genetics, and she kind of got popped. My wife did our TikTok for a while. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to work it.
Right.
I'm trying now, but for a long time, she was running our TikTok during COVID. We were both working from home, and we're like, we want something fun to do. So we made funny videos of all of the snakes, and we had one video of this hognose, and I think actually it's on my KMB Facebook page. I think it's our banner, but she's sitting in a tiny little coil, and she has her tail tucked over her head, kind of like she's trying to like hide herself. Yeah. And it's adorable. And it was just a video of that, just panning around it. And I don't even know how many views or likes or whatever it has on TikTok, but that blew up. And then we probably had 4 or 5 TikTok videos that blew up. And a lot of our followers came from the TikTok blowing up. I think the TikTok, I mean, it's I don't want to say it's inactive because I'm trying to get back into it, but I think the TikTok has close to like 200,000 followers on it. And
really?
Yeah.
That's cool. It's I'm kind of like you in the way that, I mean, I've applied myself to learning it. I've seen that It's something I have to understand in marketing, whether it's music, whether it's restaurants, whether it's snakes, whether it's a rental unit in the future. I could use Instagram and social media to market. So I really, really applied myself to it. But there's something, when you said it was the hog noses, the smaller the niche, it seems like the bigger splash somebody can make. And then that splash can ripple out across, you know, so you make a splash with hog noses, that's going to overlap with ball pythons, going to overlap with, you know, bearded dragons, crested geckos are the thing now, it seems like. And probably even some of the invertebrates. I've heard spiders are just monstrous right now too. So
yeah, jumping spiders.
Jumping spider, yeah, they're the ones, I guess, right now. That's what Robin Markland at REDLINE was like. That was what stole the show at Pomona. He said those guys were absolutely slammed. I was like, wow, I can't go chasing that. I don't know anything about spiders, man. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I get made fun of because I am all into the snakes, and then I'm still kind of cautious around spiders. But the jumping spiders are adorable. They're so smart.
Are they? I don't know anything about them. Are they a little interactive more?
Oh yeah, extremely. Like once you get some free time, look up like the intelligence of jumping spiders. They're fascinating.
Really? All right. Now I'm going to check that out. There was a guy. I wonder how many other people see this too. At like 10:15, when I go to FedEx in the mornings to pick up something, you can look around and like other people, like you'll connect eyes with somebody, but like they're picking up a reptile or an exotic. Like we're all like not going to say anything. But there was one, you know, and then you see the boxes, you know, arrows up, perishable, live animal. And I was like, what'd you get? And he's like, 42 jumping spiders. Like, that's a lot of jumping spiders, man. And like, there's really only one exotic pets store here in Jacksonville. Like, he doesn't work there. I was like, I think those are all for that dude. Like, that's a lot of jumping spiders, you know?
It is.
But yeah, that caught me when he was like, anyway, it caught my eye when he said, he was like, nope, these are jumping spiders. I'm like, okay, sounds good to me, man.
Start to you.
Yeah, exactly. So what are your, you talked some about your double visual pairings and your double visual goals. What are some genes and projects that you're not in or that you want to add into? You know, actually talk to me about this. Is there even such things as projects that you're not in? Is it all just overlap now? Is it all just, hey, we could get a third recessive, we get a fourth recessive, dump another codom in there? Like, what's your thoughts on that? It
is a lot of overlap. And I want that to be by design. Sometimes it's kind of just, you know, circumstance that I can come into an animal that is in two different projects. But if I'm going to be bringing in another recessive, ideally it's tied to a recessive that I'm already working.
Sure.
So if I have, like I have 1.2 chocolate triple het DG hypo pied, I don't necessarily need to use those for DG hypo pied projects.
Yeah.
I can use those for pied, I can use those for hypo, and I can use those for DG separately or any of the combinations. So like, if I'm going to be bringing in anything else, why not have another gene that I have in the collection? That way I can kind of further myself instead of starting from ground zero. I can kind of get a little bit of a jump using another recessive that I have. And your first question, what I want to get into next, all I can think about is paint. I want paint so bad.
Really? Okay. All right. What gets you going about paint, man?
I don't have anything in the collection right now except for like a GHI that has that type of granite type look.
Okay.
And I was interested in it just based on like the couple of examples that I had seen. But then Khalil at 514 hatched the Orange Dream Yellow Belly Sentinel, which is the same thing as paint. And it's probably one of my favorite animals that I've seen from another breeder produced this year. It's got to be. It is my favorite that I saw this year. Orange Dream Yellow Belly Sentinel. We killed it with that.
Nice. I was going to ask you, like, wait a minute, you're way too excited. What was it that got you on it? And you went right into it. You answered it right straight ahead. Yeah, I think Jeremy Baud, I think, is in paint as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's got some going on there. Yeah, I agree with you on. I prefer not to bring in any new recessives. I say that I didn't think I was going to do much investing in 2023 Two, and I think I even pointed at you when you said you never know when a great opportunity comes. Man, the number of people liquidating and getting out in 2022 just turned into an absolute just gold mine of opportunity, man. And I just went after it, and then I had to make the accompanying capital investments to have place to store them and then to grow. And I, like I say, I was breeding 6 female, or I was expecting 6 clutches last year, and now up to 20. You're like, all right, I need rack space, I need incubator space, I need thermostats, I need, I need it all kind of deal. So I went pretty headstrong on it because the opportunities came along. But yeah, as an individual recessive that I would go after right now, not too many. I think I have 10 or 11 already. So it's plenty,
You'd be adding more into what you already have, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I would want to add. I would add more into what I have, or double hets of ones that I already have. But I don't know about bringing any more in. I mean, even things that are just so hot that I want to get in. Like I don't have any DG. I could go get it. It's actually a reasonable price now. There's good values out there, especially in the market right now. Don't want to take up more rack space. So if I were to find a double het with something that I'm already working, or a visual that was het something I'm already working, so that I at least had a head start on it, then right. I would. But just a male visual single gene, I can't see myself going after that.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel the same way.
Yeah. So, and that question earlier when I asked how long until the 100, you just never know what resources and plans different people have. Some people are kind of slow and steady, which is kind of my move. There's a matter of fact, there's people in the audience right now. Hey, we're diving in. We got $100,000. We're going to go get, 40 breeding females this year and get to work. So there's so many different ways. I'm always intrigued by whatever people have going on. So that was really my question on there. What else do you see in the hobby that excites you right now? I mean, genes or otherwise, what keeps you going? What's kind of your gas in the tank?
I mean, I don't want to use the cop-out answer of the community, but the relationship.
It's not a cop-out.
I mean, it's just the most general though, right? But
yeah.
A lot of times you'll get into a hobby and you'll meet like hobby friends. Like I'm sure like you have friends that are your music friends, but might not necessarily overlap with like your everyday friends.
Sure.
I've made so many everyday friends, like Ryan Hayes, who was in the chat. A day doesn't go by where I talk to him just like as a friend.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just fun. Like when you find something that you could just like have fun with. Like I'm not a super outgoing social person. If I'm just going to go like walk up to somebody and make small talk, it's not for me at all. I couldn't be interested in it less. But put me from somebody else that I can talk about snakes with, sit down for a couple hours. Right.
Yeah. No, that resonates really strongly with me. And actually it was a strength and a skill I worked on working in restaurants, because I like my crew. I like the people who know what we're going through together. I might not like them as people, but I like us together because we have that tie that binds. But chit-chatting every table in the restaurant. Oh, how are you today? What are you up to, Mrs. So-and-so? I care. I don't care. I don't mean it in a mean way, but I don't care. I don't wish Mrs. So-and-so any bad day. That's not what I'm saying. Just as much as she doesn't care what socks I put on that morning. I don't care. It's not my thing, but it had to be. It was part of the expectation, especially in private club world, where really is where I made my career. But also I found that it's just vital at the shows. You got to connect with people. You got to feel that that connection is there. There's, every show, there's 90% of the room is filled with your competition and ball python breeders, like everything you could do to connect with somebody. So yeah, I really had to work on that some. How does vending feel for you? Is that like anxiety or anxious, or is it cool?
No, I roll in excited because I mean, anybody who's going to be coming up to the table, unless they're just, looking and then they're just going to turn away anyway. If they're going to come up and talk, they want to talk about snakes. And by all means, I'm ready to talk about snakes, especially if you're interested in what's on the table, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, for me, it's just been a skill to develop, and then finding that the one extreme, there's the kids, there's the mom with the 7-year-old. And then at the other extreme, there's the breeder across the room who actually goes, "Oh my God, that's a cool animal. I'm going to check that out later." And you're like, I hope it comes back, it's all,
yeah. Well, that's the exciting stuff. Whenever you get noticed by somebody who you deem like higher up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool. And that's been the case on this show. Like, I don't get blinded much by celebrity. I spent 11 years of my career, 5.5 with the PGA Tour, and then 5.5 at a club owned by billionaires, 4 millionaires. And I mean, Michael Jordan was a member. Like, after a while, you just get tired of the celebrity. I don't get tired of it, but it's just another person ordering it. I mean, they order a drink the same way we do. They I hate to use the expression, but they go to the bathroom. I mean, they're human, and that all wears off. But there are times in the show where I'm just like, and I'm not even talking the Billies or Justins of the world, like just like super respected breeders that have been cool to me, that I'm like, "You guys watch my show? All right, that's cool. All right, that feels weird, but that's cool." And it's like you're talking about if another breeder across the room comes to check out your table, you're like, I hope they like it, So, and I forgot, I usually do this right on the hour. Let's take just a second. I got to say thanks to REDLINE Shipping. Guys, check them out if you haven't already. I know the word's out. I know they made a huge splash. I hope you're enjoying their services. I really think that they're the best in the industry. But if you haven't, go use the promo code PROPER5. You can see that right in the banner down below. And then you all know I'm huge fans of feeding all of my animals, every one of them that I can, frozen thawed. I've got just a handful and hatchlings that I start live, and then I switch them to frozen thawed. But I feed exclusively Cold-Blooded Cafe frozen rodents, and I use their rats. And this is the first show. This is the first time ever I've been able to say this. Use the promo code PROPER10 for 10% off of your first order. I have to check with their marketing department. The first order is their wording that they gave me. I have reason. I won't bore you with the reasons, but I have reason to think that it's a one-time use, whether you're a new customer or not. So check it out. Let me know. If not, I'm going to talk to them. I can't promise that I could change anything, but I've been after them to give me a unique promo code for a long time so they can measure my performance and what I'm doing. And so maybe I can convince them to make it, just a one-time usage code for everybody. Because if you're an existing customer, I think you should be thanked for your support as well. So anyhow, Proper 10 at Cold-Blooded Cafe. And last but not least is the chipper. And my chipper comes by way of Chris at BNS Reptilia. He's over there in Pennsylvania, and I believe he's a distributor in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and whatever other state is right. I'm in Florida. Certainly Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I'm really not sure. I'd be speaking out of turn if I promised any others. Maybe West Virginia, maybe Maryland. I'm not sure. Anyhow, Chris at B&S Reptilia. You can check out all of those brands down below in the description. And also check out KMB Reptiles, Matt and Kaylee. Their link tree is down below as well. And you can find Matt and Kaylee on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, where they're huge. And now YouTube. You just broke into YouTube, right?
Yep, brand new.
All right. So tell us the plan. Tell us what you got going. Why now? Why'd you jump in on YouTube?
Mostly just because I need a place to show it off. I mean, it's one thing to post pictures on Instagram, but it's just a picture of a snake. Like, I want to be able to show people who I actually am, show people how we keep everything. It's one thing to look at an animal on Morph Market and say like, oh, that's a nice animal. It's another thing to see an animal where you can resonate that, oh, I've seen that person's collection, I've seen their facility on a YouTube video. I've seen them pulling out animals and showing what they have. So I know that, who I'm buying from isn't just from a Morph Market ad, it's from Matt at KMB.
There you go. I mean, that in a nutshell is why I keep up YouTube. I remember you talked about it being in the middle of COVID. You had to do something fun. So you and your wife started on TikTok. Mine was, and I was chuckling earlier because you said you'd gotten a pet bearded dragon. And then from there, it was like, all right, now I'm going to get a snake. And then poof. That's funny. It's exactly, we bought our son a bearded dragon for Christmas. I was like, man, I used to have ball pythons. Let me see what's going on in ball pythons nowadays. And my mind was blown, man. Like I was able to get a pastel banana, which, you know, this audience and myself now, we probably chuckle at. Like, why would you ever buy a male pastel banana, right? Blown away. I was like, I can get that for $180. I would have had to mortgage a house in the late 90s when I had ball pythons before for that. And so it went on. But the whole YouTube thing started when, because my wife knows me, man. Like when I start getting after something, like I'm fanatical about it. I won't let go. I won't give up. And she was like, so you're going to get these snakes and you're going to breed them. And then how are you going to sell them? And I'm like, I don't know, morph market or whatever. She's like, even in those days, even two years ago, there was something like 9,000, ball python listings just that day. And she's like, how are you going to stand out? And I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, man, if this dude Chris Hardwick can do it, man, I'm gonna try this out. And I'm not here to bash Hardwick. I like Hardwick a lot. Other people he seems to be everybody's whipping boy. But man, the people that he inspired in the hobby, first to get into the hobby as a hobbyist and to start making YouTube videos, the guy changed the landscape in those years. I like I said, I think the time since people have been pretty tough on him, but I've also found, and you might find it in your future career or right away too, I touched on it earlier, learning and being comfortable in the space of social media and selling and marketing our goods on it. It's cheaper and farther reaching than almost any marketing system I know of. We can reach and engage more of a targeted audience than we ever could with a commercial or a newspaper ad or a billboard. And it's right here at our fingertips. And once I got my head around that, then it was time. Like, well, you saw in the green room, I showed you the camera versus the laptop versus, I started, and I still don't have it right, but I still tweak things. Like I say, I added the little plasma ball up there this week, but I still tweak things all the time. But I really was like, all right, I got to figure this out, how to present myself for all the reasons you just said, like, who's Adam? How's he hold his snakes? What does he do with his facility? But I think you do it really well. I said it in the intro, man. Your facility always comes across very clean, very organized. Your snakes are very clean. They look healthy. The pictures are really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's doing really well, and I think you're further along in the marketing than you might realize, especially with the reach that you have, man. If you cross promote your YouTube on your Instagram, you'll be there real fast, man.
Yeah, so take it where it's at and kind of run with it and use it to my advantage. I need to be out of that.
Definitely. Mark says he remembers my old videos with my wife shouting out proper royals in the intro. That was my son, and that was me playing guitar on those intros too, man. That was before I but yeah, I bootstrapped a whole lot of it, and those were on just cell phones. Actually, I'd seen people that would like clip away to other angles, or they call it B-roll, and I didn't know how they were doing it, so I went and bought another used cell phone just so I could have two cameras rolling on me, and I figured out how to match the sound. I was like, this is complicated, man, and you don't have to do all that on iMovie, with modern editing software. But anyway, I was figuring it all out, so it was cool. No, Mark, it was Mark says my bad. Mark was actually maybe my very first, but one of my very first customers. I've known Mark a long time. No, not your bad, man. I appreciate the support and people remembering that. I might have to do like a retro series and just go back to like the original intro and go back to like just cell phone, just for like, I don't know, just to do it, just to say I'm going to do like 5 videos that way or something, just to prove that it can be done. Actually, that would be kind of cool. Like, hey, you're starting on YouTube. What do you have? Let's strip all this away and go down to the bare bones and see what we can do.
It's a great video. Yeah.
I'm always thinking of new content. Yeah. I keep lists everywhere. I'm gonna put that on this list here. The retro series. It was so hard too. I didn't know what I was doing. I was using like cheap freeware. It was like, it's like DIYing everything at the very, very beginning, and you look back and you're like, well, I had to do it because that was all that I had the resources for. But versus like, anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. Those were fun days. It was fun times figuring that out. So, where are you taking hypo? What's next on that? That hypo OD calico fire has got to be like one of the top things you could produce on hypo for yourself. Where next for it?
It's going to be taking the incomplete dominant hypo combos and just doing all double recessives. So, like I mentioned, do it this year for the breeder hypo stuff. I'm putting the pastel puzzle het hypo to all of them. Going for hypo combos that are all het puzzle. Get those going up, and then eventually go into hypo puzzle double visuals. Then I'm going to be doing the tri-stripe hypo. I've got some double het DG hypo, so I'll definitely be doing that. I don't have any visual DG hypos now, sadly. They're amazing. So
they are amazing.
One I'll push more into, and then once obviously I'm talking way in the future here with going to the visual triples. But, once you've got the visual double recessive and another visual double recessive, get the, hypo that's double het puzzle paint or, what have you. So it's really kind of like when I first got into it, when I wanted to do the DG Pied stuff, and I just had my pastel GG who was pos het pied, put him to my pied stuff and made everything to hold back there. And the idea was, okay, I'm going to have all these pied het DG het pieds that I can, eventually make those females double visuals.
Yes.
Once I have those female double visuals, even if it's just a DG pied, still, high dollar animal.
Right.
I can take any, so like one that I want to get into pied is like Hurricane.
Yeah.
Get a male Hurricane pied, put it into the DG pieds, and now you got Hurricane into that project. Or if, what other gene comes up that's like, oh, that works really well with pied, already having those female double visuals that I can use for that, I can get a male of that combo or the incomplete dominant, whatever pops up, and be able to almost immediately plug it into the double visual project.
Yeah. Well, like you say, especially with the females, that within, usually maybe not the very first season, but very quickly you can breed the males back to her very quickly as well. Especially if you have a couple that you could, instead of mother to son, maybe it's the same blood, but maybe not so direct on the line. Yeah.
And that's what the thought was when I kept back 3 of the same pied het DG and 3 of the same DG het pied. It's like, does it feel redundant? Maybe, but the more that you have, the more you can go off different branches. You're not relying on just one clutch of that certain project. You can branch it out and get there a lot sooner if you have higher odds.
Yeah, entirely correct. I had that acid het clown that I had high hopes for this year, and I wanted to get acid into my Ultramel project, and he ultimately didn't. And then I would have some Ultramel het clowns as well. And he ultimately didn't lock, and her follicles were growing large enough where I was like, man, I got to find something. And I ended up going back to last year, 2 years ago, I had Ultra Clown clutches that they'll be ready to breed this coming fall. And I was like, you know what? Just like what you were talking about, it might be redundant, but I'm going to have more to work with, the more than I can hit, and more opportunity to work different things in. So as a close second, I went with I think I put an Enchi clown. Yeah, I put an Enchi clown to her. So there'll be 100% double head Ultramel clowns, and I could get, pinstripe Enchis with them. So, so I agree with you. The more you have to work with, and the more that you can, the recessives are just so challenging to make. And once you get into the doubles and the triples, you got to have a lot to work with to bring those odds down to something that doesn't feel overwhelming,
Yeah. And Ryan in the chat talking about the DG tri-stripe stuff. That's one that we're really pumped about. 2021, he made a clutch of double hets. And so I've got 2 female double het DG tri-stripe and then he's got 1.1. And then this year, we're doing a joint pairing. I've got a tri-stripe female, and he's putting his Trick Desert Ghost Pusset Hypo to her to try to get Trick into the tri-stripe, DG tri-stripe.
That's cool. How did you guys? So how many people do you work with as far as breeding? Not just the friend circle, but like actual like breeding partnerships. How many different breeders do you work with?
I'm extremely selective. So
sure.
So far, it's only been Ryan, and then Baker Sturgeon I mentioned earlier in Indianapolis. He's got a really tight collection as well. We're doing one this year. We're doing a pastel Desert Ghost het pied that I have to his female Orange Dream het pied. He has a lot of really, really nice clown pied stock. So, push DD into that, obviously.
Yeah.
Other than that, I did a joint pairing with Dominique DeFalco. We kind of started getting into snakes around the same time. We started out, I think I actually did meet her. There's a local rescue, Arrowhead Reptile Rescue in Westchester, Ohio. And we both were volunteering there. We would go like on Sundays and clean all the
cool.
animals.
Right.
So I met her there, and we're both kind of right now she's more interested in green tree pythons. So she's got amazing green tree pythons. She just has a few ball pythons, but she really loved the Xanthic pied stuff. And I was getting in. She was going to be buying, a small project for that anyway. So I'm like, oh well, I'm interested in that, and I trust you fully. And
sure.
So she got a pied het VPI Xanthic male, and then I grabbed a female pastel double het from Andre at Capital Reptile. And so we got those in 2018, and then 2021 we did our joint pairing, and we had from pied het Xanthic to a double het. Out of 4 eggs, we had 2 Xanthic pieds.
Really? That's killer. Yeah, fantastic. Man, yeah, I should have given a disclaimer at the beginning of that. Anybody watching, and Matt, you might have seen some of his, what's the right word? The right way, making sure you're being elegant about how specific you are on choosing. I don't throw that out there as like an invitation that I want to like partner with everybody. Like I get a lot of people who are like, well, I have this, you want to breed with that, right? And I'm like, it's not the animal. It's not the genes. It's the person when there's a breeding project. And honestly, I've got a whole lot invested, and I'm really, really protective of it. And it doesn't mean that I don't like the people. It doesn't mean I don't want to work with them in the future. A, it means that I probably already have plans for most of my animals. And B, that's just a monstrous amount of trust. And I'll be honest, sometimes I'm not that giving of a person either. Like I'm pretty, any of the breeding projects I've done, all the animals are in my room, and they come from great people, but I'm like, look, I need them on my side if I'm going to do it. Like I don't send mine out, and I hate to be that way. I'm just not there yet. And so I completely get when you're like, well, I'm really selective. So I didn't mean to put it on the spot. Like, hey, everybody, call Matt. That's not going to work. That's not what I'm saying. Don't do that. He'll get in touch with you, kind of thing, if he wants to. But as a strategy to expand, especially into higher end projects, it's particularly a strong strategy if the trust is there, the health of the animals are there, every understanding I have of any breeding project is unique to every partnership. Like there's no guidebook for how it has to work kind of deal. So those two people got to figure it out together is what I would say to people looking at that. Sounds like you and Ryan have some things to work out. He's got some animals of yours and he hates you. No, I'm joking. Audience, what questions do you have? We probably have another 10, 15, 20. We're coming up on an hour and a half already, which is great for my show, as you all know. Matt, so you go to Tinley coming up next. Where else can people find you in person vending?
That right now is the only place that we're planning on being until we have the animals producing. So once I've got clutches, which the first show that I'd probably be vending would probably be around August time frame.
Yeah.
And more than likely it'll be the Midwest show in Indianapolis, because for the most part, I love hanging out over there. It's just a fun show to be around, like-minded people, and I get to go see my friends who I got to drive. It's only about 2 hours, but it's a reason we can all get together and vend a show and have some fun. But that's right now. I think that might be the only one. I would like to do the St. Louis NARBC.
Right.
I haven't looked too much into it, but I know that it's this fall, so that might be one that I'd like to jump into. I just need to get a banner, and then be ready to roll. It's
anybody could do it, even me. I got one back there, man. It's I can tell you all about it. Plenty of people can, but something that just came to mind. Either maybe you can't answer because maybe you don't even pay attention to it. But what are the regulations about animals from other states that you find? Like all the shows that I deal in are all here in Florida. I know if I go to the Georgia show, at least on paper in Atlanta, I got to have a vet inspect my animals coming in, and I think they provide somebody to do that. But it's just another hurdle to the shows are so strong here in Florida. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I don't need to go. What do you see going state to state?
With Indiana, there's not a health certificate type thing like you're mentioning. Where there is with Tinley, you have to have the health certificate, but they do have the on-site vet there to do it. And they had to do that last year, and I heard that it went really well.
I was going to say I am intrigued about that. Has Jason vended Tinley before? Is it his first time as well?
He did. Yeah, he did the fall show, I believe.
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing how that process works. That's for people in the audience or watching on the replay. Explain what you're talking about with the certificate and the clearances and all that.
Yeah, so going to a show in Illinois, so it'll be the same thing with the NARBC Schaumburg show as it is with Tinley. If you're bringing animals from out of state, then you have to have either your vet have a health certificate saying like, yes, these are healthy animals, or if you don't have access to that, or just for the convenience, if you want to have the on-site vet there. From what I'm told, obviously it's going to be my first time vetting it, but Jason will have a better answer. But from what I'm told, you can go there. Once you get there to set up, you let them know, hey, I would like to use the on-site vet, and they'll come around and check and make sure everything looks good.
Do they? I'm sure there's a charge for it. Is it a by animal? Is it just a single consultation fee? Is it?
I think it's like $50 per breeder.
Gotcha.
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Jason actually didn't have to do it. He may be able to give a better answer, but he's in Illinois, so
he's in Illinois.
Anything. Right.
Gotcha. And then just get real like smarmy sounding. How do they know that you're not safe? How will they is there an Illinois license that keepers have? Like in Florida, we have a Class 3 license. So if you're from South Carolina and you sign up to vend a show in Florida, if you don't have your Class 3 license, they'll probably take your animals. To be honest with you, they're madmen here, but they'll shut you down. Is there any licensing or permitting that goes on and where you're seeing?
Not that I've seen, or at least not in the shows that I've done so far. But as far as permitting for Tinley, no, I think really the only thing that you have to have is that health certificate.
But I'm saying if you're from Illinois, you don't need it. So how would they know you're not from Illinois? Like, is there a governing body that's inspecting is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
With being from Illinois, I think Jason, I don't know that he had to do anything. But yeah, that'd definitely be a question for him since he has experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, for Matt and for everybody else, I think it's imperative that we as keepers that we do follow the laws and we figure out how to work within them and then get them changed through due process and our legislators and all that. So I'm not advocating that anybody skirt these things, but on the other hand, I don't like laws for the sake of laws, especially if they're unenforceable. And then it's just a racket that money aside, it's a hassle, and it's a hassle to what we go through, you know. Well, anyhow, if anybody has any insight on that, hey, as a follow-up, I just got a note from Brandon Nixon. The properroyals 10 does work. Well, first it works, so that's good news. Secondly, it appears, I believe Brandon has ordered from them before. So it seems to work as a one-time code rather than just first-time buyers. So go get your 10% off, guys. And rats ain't cheap. If you're filling up a box to maximize the shipping, you could be spending, I think I just ordered about $600 retail in a box. So, I mean, that could be a sizable savings actually for everybody as well. Well, what do we miss? Matt, what do we need to cover that people don't know, or that we need to get the word out, man?
I think we covered it. I mean, I've got a small collection, and this kind of just feels like, I mean, obviously 2021 was my breakout year of clutches, but I really didn't sell much. I kept most of it and raised everything up. Last year was a little bit of the same. I didn't hit as many holdback quality animals as I was hoping to, so I mostly turned what we produced into new additions. So I added a decent amount last year, but this year really should be the first year that I'm coming to market, I guess you could say, where I'm actually going to be selling a lot of the animals that we have. So, I mean, the first 2 years, all my Pied-Head DG stuff, it stayed here. So this year, finally, I'll be able to actually kind of get out there and make some sales. And
that's a real exercise in patience, though. How do you feel like it's paid off for you? That it's been worth the wait and the holdbacks on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to grow into it, like we were talking about earlier, growing slowly into it. It's you learn if it's efficiencies, whether it's how you clean a tub, what kind of substrate you like to use, how much you like to use, how often you're changing your waters, when you change your waters, when do you go in your snake room. I go in the snake room in the morning because when I go in, like late in the evening after I get done, I got to start opening these females with a hook from 3 feet away because they're going to be coming out at me. Whereas if I come in the morning and do my routine, I don't have that to worry about as much. So
that's right.
You grow into how you like to do things. And I mean, that's the benefit with growing slowly, is once you get to a point where you've got a bigger collection, everything's really fine tuned. And that's where I'm headed.
I couldn't have said it better, and I've tried to preach that a lot. All the things that you learn, just doing stuff consistently over a long period of time equals skills and knowledge. And it sounds like you're wired like me as far as how you do things consistently. You're exactly right. Like I talk about on the show, I don't handle my animals at night. So if I go in there and I open a tub at night, they expect a rat to be coming to them because that's the only thing that I do at night in the animal room. And and people are like, how do you get all your animals to eat frozen thawed? I'm like, well, I'm consistent. They know what to expect. They're conditioned for it. So
they get into a routine.
Yeah, they do. And they will eat frozen thawed voraciously. I don't do feeding videos very often or really much at all, but there's some, I mean, they just, man, it's great. They just shoot out. It's great, and they're healthy when that means they feel secure. That means that their temperatures are right because they're digesting properly. They're hydrated. All that good stuff is all in line when you're getting those kinds of responses. So, David, who goes by Wes, I know Wes very well, and actually shout out to Wes. He helped me a ton this week on a project that I've coming up that I'll unveil actually probably this week, but huge thanks to Wes. Wes says, Adam, can you describe your playbook for asking someone if you can work a show with them for free to learn? Here's the bad news. The playbook is ask 30 people and one of them will eventually say yes. That's kind of the playbook. Build the relationships. You can explain to somebody what you're working towards but it's a little bit of getting yourself out there. There's regional reptile groups that you can meet people on. Obviously, live shows like this, audience chats like this. Wes is in Mississippi, and he's an awesome guy. If you want to come to Florida, you can come vend with me anytime. But that's a hell of a drive. you know, getting active in the groups where people know that you're looking to do that. There's a couple people. Shannon in the group here is one of the guys. He's vended with me, and there's another guy, Dino, that has done. I wouldn't say the whole show, but I've walked him through my whole process of booking, the setup at the show. If I have to run to the restroom, he'll cover for me a lot of times. He's usually at the shows, so you know, things like that. But really, it's building relationships, not getting offended if people say no. You're handling their money, their animals. You're representing their brand. I hate to say it, they don't owe the person asking anything. So I don't know. I asked a whole bunch, and finally one person said yes. And what's funny is once one person says yes, then everybody else is like, oh, well, this is a cool guy. I didn't hear any horror stories from him. So sure, Adam, you can come work for me anytime. So I get a little bit of that too now. So, but yeah, it's unless that's my playbook when it came to getting these sponsorships. It's just pitching, and you get no's, I don't know how many times. And then suddenly somebody says, yes, you were kind enough to be the IT guy that said yes for me. So, you know, if I can make contact with anybody in Mississippi or your area, you're more than welcome to use me as a reference, but I can't tell you any better than that. So, all right, everybody, check out Matt's links down below, KMB Reptiles. Definitely check him out on Instagram. Check out the new stuff on YouTube, and go see the man at Tinley. Congratulations again on that table, man. That's killer. I'm real happy for you. Say hello. I'd never met her. I trust that she's a lovely lady, but I know Kaylee is both your partner in life, but also your business partner. So congrats on what you all have going on. I think it's a big deal, and I think that's real cool as a household, as a couple, as a whatever, partners, whatever the right words are. You get what I'm trying to say. I think it's real cool to have an asset and an ally by your side, and it makes a hell of a difference when the other person in the house understands that 50 ball pythons in the basement is, hey, that's totally cool, man. That's a real big hurdle to get over, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everybody in the audience. Next week we have Jason from Abe's Exotics. The following week, Bod's Exotic Reptiles and a Tree Frog Collective. After that, Spencer, I will be in Lakeland this weekend at the Lakeland, Florida Repticon. I hope to see you. Check out all the links. I'm now rambling because I don't know how to end a show. Matt, thank you so much, man. Stick around for just a minute till after the show ends. All right.
Will do. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. I'm going to fire up this video. See you all next time. Good night.